If you were forced to eat chicken and salad all day, spend a few hours in the gym each day, and occasionally be taken to the middle of nowhere in an unmarked van to appear in a movie, would you do it? Would you even be able to do it? Probably not, huh? Well, how about we throw in a 7-figure or 8-figure salary just for following all of these rules and, being a world-class actor? Oh, now you're interested. All you guys care about is the money. These are just some of the absolutely ridiculous rules every MCU actor has to follow because Disney said so. And there are so many to go through. So, let's get started. We've recently learned about a new crime someone could commit from Chris Hemsworth during the 2017 Supernova Comic-Con that took place in his native Australia. There, Hemsworth said that it's illegal for an MCU actor to appear in a DC film. Yes, it is illegal, and we checked the laws of every country in the entire world just to confirm this. And it's definitely true. In fact, all around the world, that'll land you 20 years in prison, and you won't be able to get out early. There's no bail, nothing. You'll have to live with the consequences. Yep, that also means Ryan Reynolds won't be playing Deadpool in the MCU since he played the Green Lantern in 2011. Well, at least he'll end up being the most handsome man in prison, so there's that. Now, Kevin Feige, the big man at Marvel Studios, said that there are no restrictions on what other superheroes MCU actors can play. In fact, we've seen Josh Brolin as both Thanos and Cable. Sure, those are both MCU characters, but how about Adewale Agbaji, who played Killer Croc in Suicide Squad after appearing in Thor: The Dark World? Maybe this rule isn't set in stone after all. We gotta get better at researching because we were sure it was illegal. If you know anything about Marvel Studios, it's that they're incredibly tight-lipped and give the most vague answers to every question. Every once in a while, they'll give more information than they need to, but those happenings are few and far between. Instead, we typically look to the actors for spoilers. Now, most actors are just as quiet about plot details and the future of the MCU as Marvel Studios, but sometimes they let some information slip, which is a big no-no. We're looking at you, Tom Holland and Mark Ruffalo. That being said, Tom Holland is definitely worse with spoilers than Mark Ruffalo, and it's no contest. In fact, he's made so much information slip that Marvel Studios is just going along with it at this point. At the Avengers Infinity War press engagements, they made fun of Holland's inability to keep his mouth shut. They even paired him with the best name in Hollywood, Benedict Cumberbatch, who's renowned for being good at avoiding spoilers, just to make sure Holland didn't spill the beans. Tom Holland clearly loves playing Spider-Man so much that he can't stop talking about it, and we truly admire him for that. It's quite adorable, honestly. If you haven't yet seen Spider-Man Far From Home, this entry will have a small spoiler, so just skip forward until you see that number 4 in the corner. If you've seen it already, then let's get into it. In 2001, Marvel's editor-in-chief at the time, Joe Quesada, came up with a policy about smoking in Marvel Comics. It stated that no main character was allowed to be seen smoking. They didn't want to make it come across as cool because those days are long behind us. It's an unhealthy habit, and no one should be doing it. This PSA was brought to you by Captain America. Seriously though, Wolverine was a known smoker in the comics, but he's kicked the habit by now, or at least he's doing it off the pages. Who knows? What we do know is that Nick Fury is still smoking because he is not a main character. Now you may be saying, Obadiah Stane was smoking in the first Iron Man movie, so clearly this policy doesn't exist in the MCU. Well, we specifically said it was for the comics. It wasn't until Disney bought Marvel Studios that they incorporated this policy into their films. So don't expect to see Nick Fury or J. Jonah Jameson light one up anytime soon. Remember in the intro when we said Marvel actors are occasionally taken to the middle of nowhere in an unmarked van? Yeah, we weren't exaggerating that one bit. Elizabeth Olsen, who plays Scarlet Witch, will be the first to tell you that she experienced this herself. She was refreshingly honest about how Marvel Studios went about filming their movies, which is something we'd love to see more actors do. Specifically, she talked about Avengers Infinity War. At Ace Comic-Con in Seattle, she and Paul Bettany were interviewed by who else? Geek icon Kevin Smith, who's always a great interviewer. According to Olsen, she had absolutely no clue what was going to happen at the end of Infinity War until the last day of filming. Talk about keeping this one a secret. On the last day, the Russo brothers put all the actors into one big air-conditioned van and told them how the film was going to end while they traveled to the shoot location. It's very tough for actors to just adapt at the snap of their fingers. See what we did there? But Marvel Studios only casts the best of the best, and it's safe to say they delivered. Sticking with Elizabeth Olsen, who's easily one of the most honest actresses in Hollywood, she opened up even more about the strange rules you have to follow as an MCU actor. During an April 2018 interview on Jimmy Kimmel Live, she let us in on some surprising details about Marvel's obsession with secrecy concerning Infinity War. According to her, only certain cast members were allowed to read the whole script. Yeah, that's great at least, right? Well, you had to leave your phone at the door and were given 5 hours in an empty room to look at the script. On an iPad. That's right, it wasn't even on paper. This sounds very unpleasant, which is why she decided to just have a look at her character, Wanda Maximoff's script, so she doesn't have to deal with all that extra stuff. That being said, some actors like Robert Downey Jr. and Benedict Cumberbatch, man, we really love saying that name, did the private reading. But according to Paul Bettany, who plays Vision, there were some fake scripts going around, so they may not have even read the real ones. It sounds like pure, organized chaos to us. The mark of a good actor is one who essentially becomes their character. They really get into their character and act like they're a different person in that moment. They are the character, not someone pretending to be someone else. That is why it's so hard to see Iron Man go. Here's a guy who's played the character who kicked off the entire MCU since 2008, and now he's gone. What's even harder is when you have to pass down the mantle of a character you've been playing to someone else. That's right, we're talking about Chris Evans and Captain America. Chris Evans' contract was up, and he was ready to move on from Captain America, but clearly Marvel Studios was not. Seeing him grow old with Peggy was a beautiful end to his story, and when he passed his shield to Sam Wilson, it was more than just a movie moment. It was one actor giving his role to another, something Evans had to do. He'll now be able to pursue a career in film directing, like he always wanted to do, and Marvel Studios will be able to continue with Captain America. It's a win-win deal for both sides. One of the most important roles an MCU actor has to follow is to hit the gym and stay fit. Have you ever seen a thick superhero? Well, other than Fat Thor, that is. Yeah, we didn't think so. Being fit just comes with the territory of being a superhero, but getting fit isn't even the toughest part. It's staying fit. Chris Pratt's transformation from Parks and Recreation to the Guardians of the Galaxy Star-Lord was one heck of a transformation. He was known as a chubby comedian, and now he's a beast. He's also been very honest about it, giving him a spot in the top 3 Chris's of the MCU. But just hitting the gym isn't enough. Other than getting swole, MCU actors need to learn how to fight, which involves an intense training regimen that most of us mere mortals would not be able to complete. For Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman learned martial arts from Maurice Crump in Tampa, Florida. He also worked with Bill McLeod, a jiu-jitsu grandmaster in Brooklyn, New York. Oh, and on top of all that, he later attended a fight camp with Marvel's fight choreographers. And on top of that, he already had 5-hour workouts with a conditioning coach. Yeah, that's crazy. Background checks are very important when you're looking to hire anyone for a job. It just has to be done because there are so many stories of companies not doing the proper background check and paying the consequences later on. This is no different for MCU actors. Marvel Studios is known for their extensive casting process, which involves an incredibly deep background check. They'd probably even call your parents for information if they had to. In the case of Guardians of the Galaxy director James Gunn, his full background check came after he directed the first 2 movies. Marvel Studios found some interesting tweets that Gunn made many years ago and fired him over it before he was later brought back. Tom Von Lawler, who played Ebony Maw in Avengers Infinity War, was interviewed on RTE Radio 1's Second Captain show, where he talked about the movie. He said it was amazing to be a part of, but that he was so nervous about the background check even though he didn't have a shady past at all. And that's not even mentioning all the waivers and contracts he signed. Supposedly, there were too many of those to count. He said they weren't hiring someone with weird baggage or someone who'd most likely leak information, but they still ended up hiring Tom Holland anyway. One thing Disney and Marvel Studios despise is controversy, especially when it revolves around actors who aren't team players and love to make a scene. Well, the whole James Gunn thing we just mentioned was a huge controversy, but we promise it's something they want to avoid. They don't follow the whole any publicity is good publicity shtick. Nowadays, you wouldn't stand a chance if you talked back to Marvel Studios because they've ironed out their creative process down to an art. Actors now know what they're getting into if they sign a contract with them. But one actor tried to throw his weight around back in 2008 when the MCU had just begun. He asked for more creative control over the script. Of course, we're talking about Edward Norton, who played the Incredible Hulk in that movie that everyone forgets exists because almost no characters in it, other than the Hulk, are relevant anymore in the greater MCU. Edward Norton clashed with executives, so they said, you know what, let's just replace him with Mark Ruffalo. It was an amazing decision, honestly. Another famous actor swap involved Rhodey. Terrence Howard was replaced with Don Cheadle, and supposedly, Howard only left because he was lowballed by Marvel Studios during contract negotiations. Nah, we're fine with Don. While some MCU characters look like regular humans, others are from outer space, and we're sure that there are some people who don't look like us out there, right? It would be pretty weird if the only other intelligent life out there are just more people who look like humans. So, what does this all mean? It means that if you play a cosmic MCU character, you're going to spend some time in the makeup chair. Well, not just some time, a lot of time. Each and every day they need you on set. How much time exactly? Well, according to Karen Gillan, who plays Nebula in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, she had to shave her head, and on top of that, had to endure 4 hours and 15 minutes in the makeup chair every morning on the first film. She even had to wear prosthetics and contact lenses. Thankfully, the process was refined during the sequel for her, along with other characters like Gamora, Drax, and Mantis. They only needed to spend around 2.5 hours in the chair. Either way, that's still a lot of time to spend doing absolutely nothing before filming. We just hope they had an awesome playlist like the movie had to pass the time. Just because a movie is done filming doesn't mean its actors can go home, kick their feet up, and enjoy a cold one. Sure, the hard work's done, but now it's time to travel the world on a massive and lengthy global press tour. If you're an MCU actor, you'll find yourself in exotic locations like Albuquerque and Santiago, walking red carpets at premieres, doing so many interviews, and answering so many of the same questions that you'll have no voice by the end of the day. Sounds like a grand old time, doesn't it? Might sound exhausting, but we're sure seeing all their fans makes it worthwhile for the actors. MCU fans are some of the most dedicated in the world, and it shows with all the incredible theories they come up with every day. While the actual press tour itself might not be the most amazing thing, if you're an MCU actor, you get to play an awesome comic book character, hang out with fans who absolutely adore you, and travel the world. Does it get any better than that? The answer is no, it definitely doesn't, and we're very, very jealous it's not us. Well, it's never too late to go to acting school. Another bit of fine print written into the MCU's contracts involved reshoots and cameo appearances. Sometimes a scene looked good at first, but once it was edited, something was a bit off. In this case, there will need to be reshoots, and MCU actors must be able to get that reshoot in. Marvel Studios is actually known for the ridiculous amount of reshoots to make sure everything is perfect. While we respect this as viewers, we understand that it could be beyond frustrating for actors to constantly have to reshoot scenes. Idris Elba, who plays Heimdall in the Thor series of movies, said that he had to do a reshoot as Heimdall in Thor: The Dark World 1 day after he played Nelson Mandela in Long Walk to Freedom, and unsurprisingly, it didn't sit well with him. Even if you're not one of the main characters in a film, you have to make yourself available for a cameo if your number is called. The MCU is very much a connected universe with heroes constantly appearing in each other's movies. Most likely, once the script for the film is written, Marvel Studios will let all the actors who are involved in the movie know they're making an appearance, so they can figure out what day they can be on set for. This could be a lot for some actors, so it's important to read the fine print, people. While we've talked about MCU actor contracts so much in this video, we haven't got into the most important thing: the length of them. Unlike most studios, Marvel isn't about those year-long contracts. They're all about those multi-film contracts. Marvel Studios wants their actors to know what they're getting into and be willing to commit to the MCU for the long haul. They don't want a constantly changing cast of actors because that makes things hard to follow as a viewer and will no doubt make for lower quality movies. It also means constant contract negotiations, which slows everything down. Their casting process is so long and tedious because they want to make sure they get the right actors for the right job. To play Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson signed a 9-film deal. Yep, you heard us right, a 9-film deal. That's insane! There's no other word to describe it. While MCU actors typically don't disclose their contract details with the public, it's been reported that 6 film deals are the most common. So if you're an MCU actor, you're signing a long-term multi-film deal, as is tradition. While some actors like Tom Cruise love to perform their own stunts, it's incredibly risky, and Marvel Studios is not willing to take that chance with their actors. A work accident involving one of the biggest names in Hollywood is something you want to avoid at all costs, since it benefits absolutely nobody. The insurance premiums for MCU actors are sky high, since they're almost all big names, meaning Marvel Studios will owe them a whole lot of money if something goes wrong. If they're doing their own stunts, then there's a good chance something may go wrong at some point. What is the solution to this conundrum? Stunt doubles, of course. They have been a part of the movie industry for quite some time now, filling in for the main actor during those intense, jaw-dropping, high-octane scenes. Stuntmen and stuntwomen have spent their whole careers doing stunts and looking like other celebrities. They also don't have ridiculous insurance premiums, which is why Marvel Studios makes sure their actors never perform their own stunts. It's up to the doubles to do those. That benefits everyone, and it gives MCU actors another friend. Friends. If you're an MCU fan, wouldn't you hope the actors playing these superheroes on screen were just as heroic off-screen? So does Disney. They want their actors to have a good public image, because good publicity is the only type of publicity they want, and that is something we could totally get behind. At the end of the day, these actors are human, just like us, but they have a platform they could use to make a positive impact on the world. And Disney definitely supports that. In fact, they strongly encourage their actors to do it. Luckily, most MCU actors are very good and honorable people. They don't pull publicity stunts to get attention and stuff like that because it is below them. If they do something nice, it's because they want to, and because it'll make Disney happy. When Chris Pratt dressed as Star-Lord and Chris Evans dressed as Captain America went to visit a Boston cancer charity and a Seattle children's hospital, that was just because they're good guys doing the right thing. They're 2 of our favorite Chris's. And those were just some of the weirdest and wackiest rules Disney makes all MCU actors have to follow. What do you think? Did we leave any strange rules out? Let us know in the comments section below, and don't forget to subscribe to CBR for more MCU videos. Thanks for watching!